Good evening, and thank you for joining us. Ocean Park records a deficit of over $270 million in the 12 months to the end of June. While revenue increased by 9% from the previous 12 months, the park said its Waterworld attraction continued to post losses. Samantha Lee has more details.
The panda twin cubs' birth in August last year, together with a pair of adult giant pandas gifted by Beijing, brought growth momentum to Ocean Park. The theme park's total revenue climbed to $1.28 billion, a 9% increase year-on-year. Together with the government grant of $208 million, the park reported a surplus from operations of $42.4 million. This marks a $60 million leap when compared to a $17 million deficit a year ago. However, the park slipped into a deficit of $270 million due to higher expenses, including depreciation. Ocean Park welcomed more than 3 million visitors over the year, which is a 10% jump year-on-year.
There are a lot of activities for young kids like my daughter, and we wanted her to meet the pandas, the twin pandas. Seeing the pandas up close is a unique experience.
Significantly, the Waterworld facility lost almost $150 million. Located on a hillside, Waterworld features a variety of attractions, such as water slides, pools, and playgrounds. The park said the Waterworld is closed in winter due to limited visitors. Veteran lawmaker Michael Tian said Ocean Park should give up operating the attraction in a bid to minimize losses. He suggested the park should look into reinvestment alternatives. Ocean Park said it will review its business model and may look into other options for the future. Samantha Lee, TVB News.
An independent government agency from the U.S. is set to send a team to Hong Kong to assist in the investigation into the Emirates cargo plane crash, which killed 2 people on board a patrol car. The Transport and Logistics Bureau says it has met with Turkish authorities over the incident, and Turkish flight crew involved will stay in the SAR to help with the ongoing probes. It adds that experts from Turkey's Civil Aviation Authority are expected to arrive in Hong Kong within days to provide technical support. The Emirates cargo plane remains stranded near the seawall of the north runway of Hong Kong International Airport. As salvage operations continue, engineers could be seen working around the wreckage and retrieving the flight data recorders, commonly known as black boxes. Heavy machineries were also deployed. The United States National Transportation Safety Board wrote on its social media page that it is sending a 5-member team to assist the Air Accident Investigation Authority, or AAIA, in Hong Kong in probing the incident. The U.S. agency says under the Convention on International Civil Aviation, all data and findings will eventually be released under AAIA in Hong Kong. Warren Chim, Deputy Chairman of the Aircraft Division of the Hong Kong Institution of Engineers, says, according to civil aviation practices, the country designing, manufacturing and registering the aircraft has the right to send personnel to take part in the investigation. They encompass on-site and off-site probes, such as participating in tests, analyzing black box records, and offering safety advice. Secretary for Transport and Logistics Mabel Chan says authorities are working at full speed to undertake follow-up efforts and provide assistance to the victims' families. The airport authority says earlier that it had contacted vessel operators in Guangdong to devise salvage plans targeting to remove the aircraft wreckage within 1 week. U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance has called progress in Gaza's fragile ceasefire better than anticipated, but acknowledged during an Israel visit that the challenges that remain, from disarming Hamas to rebuilding a land devastated by 2 years of war. Meanwhile, 2 more bodies of deceased Israeli hostages have been returned. Nasi Karim with more.
Another convoy bringing remains into the Forensic Institute in Tel Aviv as Israel police performed their now customary salute. Palestinian group Hamas has now returned the bodies of 15 deceased hostages, with another 13 still being recovered. They were identified as Tamir Adar, 38, and 85-year-old Ari Zalmanovich, who reportedly died 5 weeks after being taken on October 7, 2023. Hamas says it is committed to the terms of the ceasefire and must dig through tons of rubble to find the other bodies. In the occupied West Bank, settlers give a rapturous welcome to 32-year-old Avinatan Or, who was among the 20 living hostages released by Hamas this month. Or was taken at the Nova Music Festival on October 7th, along with his girlfriend Noah Argamani, who was rescued by Israeli forces in Gaza in June 2024. In Khan Yunis, southern Gaza, the Red Cross delivered the bodies of 15 Palestinians to the Nasser hospital. This woman holds a document confirming she received a body. Walid al-Gharabli said he was able to identify his son. We were able to recognize him from distinctive marks on his body, like his teeth. He had some surgery, his clothes and his form, he said. US Vice President J.D. Vance is in Israel in a bid to ensure both sides adhere to the terms, saying the ceasefire is going better than expected.
I'm not going to give you a percentage, but look, what we've seen the past week gives me great optimism the ceasefire is going to hold. And if we get from where we were a week ago to a long-term, durable peace between Israel and Gaza, there are going to be hills and valleys. There are going to be moments where it looks like things aren't going particularly well. But given that, and given the history of conflict, I think that everybody should be proud of where we are today.
Meanwhile, as agencies continue cleanup operations in Gaza, the United Nations Development Programme is ramping up its delivery of safe drinking water and management of solid waste. Access to water is a major challenge, with desalination plants lacking fuel and Gaza's aquifers polluted by sewage and rubble. The strain on water supply has only fueled the rampant spread of disease. Nazri Karim, TVB News.
U.S. President Donald Trump said he has cancelled a potential meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin in Budapest, Hungary. Trump said the meeting is on hold because he did not want it to be a waste of time. The decision was made following a call between U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, who made it clear Moscow is opposed to an immediate ceasefire.
I don't want to have a wasted meeting. I don't want to have a waste of time, so I'll see what happens. But we did all of these great deals, great peace deals. They're all peace deals. They're agreements, solid agreements, every one of them. But this one, and I said, go to the line of battle, on the battlefield lines, and you pull back and you go home, and everybody take some time off, because you got two countries that are killing each other. Two countries that are losing 5,000 to 7,000 soldiers a week. So we'll see what happens. We haven't made a determination.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky reiterated that his country was ready to halt fighting along the current front lines, claiming Russia lost any interest in diplomacy after it became clear Ukraine isn't getting U.S. long-range capabilities via Tomahawk missiles anytime soon. This as Russia continued to launch attacks on Ukraine, where 3 people were injured in an overnight drone attack on Kherson. When hosting a Rose Garden Club lunch at the White House, U.S. President Donald Trump predicted a good deal for China on trade, while also conceding his meeting with Chinese leader Xi Jinping later this month may not happen. Danny Zhou has the report.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States.
Donald Trump was speaking at a lunch with Senate Republicans at the renovated Rose Garden on Tuesday. He noted a lot of people were anticipating his meeting with President Xi on the sidelines of an APEC summit in South Korea. Trump reaffirmed his intention to hold the talk in 2 weeks and suggested they would do well in the negotiation. Yet he also said maybe it won't happen. And then he added, things can happen there. For instance, maybe someone will say, I don't want to meet, it's too nasty. But it's really not nasty. Trump has stressed he wanted a good trade deal with China that got to be fair.
But we're going to have a fair deal. I want to be good to China. I love my relationship with President Xi. We have a great relationship.
The possible Trump-Xi meeting later this month was first announced by the US president on September the 19th. Soon after Beijing put forward a series of measures to tighten rare earth export controls, Trump changed his tone and threatened to impose a 100% tariff on China starting next month if it continued to boycott US soybeans.
Russia remains China's top crude oil supplier in September. Are you considering tariffs on China?
As of November 1st, China will have about 155% tariff put on it. And I don't think it's sustainable for them, so I want to be nice to China. But China's been very rough with us over the years because we had presidents that weren't smart. from a business standpoint, they allowed China to take advantage of us and every other country.
The trade truce between two of the world's largest economies is set to expire on November the 10th. The Chinese authorities have been adamant that the critical mineral curbs are consistent with international practice. Up to date, Beijing has not confirmed any plan for Xi to travel to South Korea or Trump's visit to China. Danny Zhou, TVB News.
Commerce Minister Wang Wentao held a video conference with European Trade Commissioner Maroš Šefčovič at the latter's request on Tuesday and exchanged views on key economic and trade issues. They have agreed to meet in Brussels in the coming days to find urgent solutions to Beijing's rare earth controls. Wang said China's scaled-up restrictions on critical minerals are in accordance with laws and regulations and intended to improve the country's export control system. On the issue of Nexperia, a China-owned chipmaker that was taken over by the Dutch government last month, Wang voiced opposition to broadening the concept of national security. He has pressed Europe to play a constructive role and urged the Netherlands to adhere to the spirit of contracts. Šefčovič noted the EU had no interest in escalation and suggested Beijing step up its authorization of EU companies' priority applications for export licenses. The commissioner said he was reassured both sides wanted to work towards a practical agreement. New Japanese Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi's first full day in the job took a dramatic turn as she reacted to a missile test by North Korea. The rockets were fired within North Korea territory and caused no damage. Regional tensions went to the very top of Japan's first female leader's priorities just hours after she'd been voted into the job. David Garrett reports.
Sanae Takaichi leading in more ways than one. A potential trailblazer for gender equality, the 104th PM, a fourth for Japan in 5 years, the first woman. She picked mostly men in her new cabinet. 2 women were appointed. Satsuki Katayama is Finance Minister, Kimi Onoda as Economic Security Minister. Takaichi pledged to bring more women into top positions, but in cutting deals with political partners, that was always going to be difficult to achieve at first. Most of the big hitters are male. Smiles from Takaichi, who has a tough task ahead with low public opinion of politicians and regional tensions. On Takaichi's first full day in the job, North Korea fired multiple short-range ballistic missiles, the first major launch in 5 months. Fired from an area north of Pyongyang, the projectiles flew for about 350 kilometres. It coincided with Takaichi's election victory. The new Japanese Prime Minister elected with 4 votes over a majority. The euphoria of the day before quickly forgotten as the 64-year-old literally entering the Prime Minister's office, telling journalists today had taken a dramatic turn. She dodged initial questions, heading straight to a top-level meeting. Later emerging after those talks, confirming North Korea's ballistic missile launch had been verified in Tokyo. I changed my schedule, she said. The government is taking all possible measures, communicating with the US and South Korea, including sharing real-time data. The Prime Minister, whose political career stretches back to the 1990s, says there was no damage from the rockets. It comes ahead of APEC and a visit by Donald Trump to Japan next week. A tariff deal has been reached, and although Takaichi may agree to buy US soybeans, a bold commitment to defence spending is in the balance. Takaichi's new foreign minister, Toshimitsu Motegi, was asked about Trump's upcoming visit to Tokyo. It is a good opportunity for the leaders to build trust on a personal level. Regarding defence build-up, our stance is a nation should protect itself and it should be decided on the country's independent judgment. We will convey this to the US when they come. David Garrett, TVB News.
The Hong Kong Construction Industry Employees General Union said that starting next month, only one of the 60 major construction trades will receive a pay rise, while the rest will remain frozen. The union says the main reason is a decline in market construction volume, and the pinch on the industry is here to stay for some time. Excavator operators are the only group receiving a raise because of the higher demand for assembly, rigging, and hoisting workers. They will receive a $50 increase in their daily rate to $1,600. Other trades, including rebar, concrete, scaffolding, and plumbing workers, will remain at their current wages, with 13 trades experiencing a third consecutive year of frozen salaries. According to statistics unveiled yesterday, the jobless rate at the construction industry stands at 7.2%. The latest studies led by the Faculty of Medicine of University of Hong Kong has revealed that depression doubles mortality rates and ratchets up suicide risks by tenfold. But that risk can be substantially reduced with timely treatment. HKU Med Department of Psychiatry's latest research has analyzed data from 268 cohort studies across countries including the United States, China, Singapore, and South Korea, covering over 10 million people living with depression and nearly 2.8 billion people in the control group. Notably, mortality risks are the most elevated in the first 180 days after patients were diagnosed with depression. Within this period, the risk of death is 11 times higher compared with non-depressed peers, underscoring the importance of early intervention. Among them, suicide risks of patients under 25 years old and over 60 years old are 10 times and 13 times higher, respectively. And depression also raises the risk of death from physical illnesses.
They have the poor lifestyle factors, including the physical inactivity, the unhealthy diets, increased risk of smoking, alcohol, and substance use. And also, they may not be fully aware about the consequence of the physical disease, resulting in less self-care.
HKU Med makes clear that receiving antidepressant medication and neurostimulation treatments can lower mortality risks by some 20% and 30% respectively. The research team also hopes that the government will introduce more policy support and allocate additional resources to increase the number of psychiatrists, facilitate early identification and intervention in the community, and promote public mental health education. The city recorded a minimum temperature of 18.4 degrees Celsius this morning, the lowest since the start of autumn this year. Residents experienced a chilly morning today, with many of them putting on extra layers. Under the influence of a strong northeast monsoon and rain bands, temperatures in the afternoon were generally 3 to 4 degrees lower than yesterday. However, the heat is set to come back over the weekend, with the temperatures reaching a high of 30 degrees on Saturday and Sunday. A student-built solar electric vehicle from Hong Kong won the 2025 Bridgestone World Solar Challenge cruiser class held in Australia. Representing the Hong Kong Institute of Vocational Education, the design of this self-developed solar EV streamlined body was based on a catamaran with solar panels installed on its roof. The solar-powered car boasts a maximum speed of 110 kilometers an hour. After covering over 3,000 kilometers across Australia's outback, traversing deserts and the wilderness over 6 days, the Hong Kong VTC team defeated 33 teams, including those from Europe, the United States, and Japan, to win the championship. The car will be displayed to the public for the first time in the West Kowloon Cultural District starting October 26th. And that's the news. Thank you for watching.